Hey guys, we're going to talk all about factoring, okay? And to be specific, I said we're going to talk all about factoring, but I really mean we're only going to talk about factoring quadratic trinomials. This is what a quadratic trinomial looks like: ax squared plus bx plus c, okay? There are lots of ways to factor quadratic trinomials out there, all right? If you hate my way, that's fine. Go learn another way. Just literally go to YouTube where you're watching this right now and Google and type in factoring quadratic trinomials. You will see millions of different ways, okay? But this is what it means to be a quadratic trinomial. It means you have your highest power is a 2, and you have 3 terms, okay? It doesn't always have to be x. We could put z here, we could put b here. It could be, 2b squared plus 3b plus 5, something like that, all right? So, how do I factor a quadratic trinomial? Well, first off, what does it mean to factor? Well, let's actually work from the ground up. Let's say you have something like b plus 1 times, this is not factoring. I'm going to show you kind of why we're getting into factoring. Let's say you have something times b plus 1 times b plus 7. And you think back to algebra 1, you go, oh, I know how to multiply this. I just multiply this times this, so that's b squared. And then I do b times 7, so that's 7b. That's a square right there, by the way. It's a really nasty square. And then, okay, I did first term to first, I did first term to second, so I'm done there. And then I say 1 times b, so that's 1b. And then I say 1 times 7, so that's 7. And then just put like terms together. So the 2b, 7b, and 1b, those can go together and become 8b. Exactly. Plus 1. 100%. Easy breezy stuff, right? Well, our goal today in this video is to go from here back to here. See, we just went from here to here. Our goal is to work backwards. That is a process called factoring, okay? And all factoring does is allow us to get back to our factors, okay? Remember, factors are things that multiply together to be that term. So we're trying to figure out what multiplied together is b squared plus 8b plus 1. And it's b plus 1 times b plus 7, all right? So let's go and factor this problem, b squared plus 8b plus 7. Wait, did I just talk about that? Oh, did I say 1 here? I'm so stupid. My apologies. That's supposed to be a 7. 1 times 7 is 7. So that should be a 7. Okay? My apologies on that. All right. Yes, I just showed you what should be your answer. So I'm going to show you how to factor, but I've actually already given you the answer. You know the answer is going to become b plus 1 times b plus 7. Okay? But how do I get there? I use a process called Tic-Tac-Toe. That's where you draw yourself a Tic-Tac-Toe box. And here's how you do that. What goes in the top left-hand box? You look at your quadratic trinomial. What goes in the top left-hand box is the squared term. So in this case, b squared. Then, what goes in the middle box is the constant term. That means the number without a variable. So 7. What goes in this box is you multiply these two, so the product of these two. So 7b squared. Then you draw yourself a little arrow, and you write out your linear term right here. Linear means the power is 1, so 8b, because the power on b is 1. So we put 8b. This is the hardest part for people now. You have to think of what are two numbers that multiply to 7b squared, but add to 8b. What are two numbers that multiply to 7b squared, but add to 8b? 7b and 1b. And think about it for a second. Is this true? Well, 1 times 7 is 7. B times b is b squared. 7b plus 1b, that is 8b. Good, this works. These are my two numbers. What goes in these two boxes is greatest common factor. What is the greatest common factor that b squared and 7b have in common? Just b. What is the greatest common factor between b squared and 1b? Just b again. B times what is 7b? 7. B times what is 1b? 1. You always go across, b plus 7, so I'd write that down. It doesn't matter the order. And then b plus 1. That's how you factor. That's it. Okay? Let's try another example real fast. Let's say I give you the quadratic trinomial n squared minus 11n plus 10. But Mr. Netherland, how do you know that's a quadratic trinomial? The highest power is 2, and there are 3 terms. Thus, it is a quadratic trinomial. So, I draw my tic-tac-toe box. What goes in the top left-hand corner? The quadratic term. What goes in the middle box? The constant term. You put the product of the two right here. That means you multiply those two together, and you put its product right there, so 10n squared. So negative 11n, you put your linear term out here. What does it mean to be linear again? That's right, it means you're being raised to the power of 1. So what are two numbers that multiply 10n squared but add to negative 11n? Negative n and negative 10n. Pause and make sure that makes sense. Well, negative 10n times negative 1n, negative times negative make it positive, 10 times 1 would be 10, n times n would be n squared. What about if you add these two together? Does that work out? Yes, it does. Negative n plus negative 10n is negative 11n. What goes in these boxes? N squared and negative n, what is their greatest common factor? Just n. N squared and negative 10n, what is the greatest common factor between those two? Just n. N times what is negative n? Negative 1. N times what is negative 10n? Negative 10. Go across, so you get n minus 1 times n minus 10. And that is how you factor quadratic trinomials. Alright guys, send me an email, a Canvas message, or remind if you have a question. Thanks.